Bonjour et bienvenue. We're here in Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. We're excited for the BMW M2 Cup. And the weather conditions are pretty tricky. It rained this morning, now it's pretty dry. Let's see how the day turns out. Fact is, last time we had a race at the Nürburgring 2 weeks ago, we had weather chaos because the first race was cancelled due to extreme fog. But we did have the second race, the one on Sunday, and we had a lot of action there. So let's have a little film and see how the highlights were then. Hello everyone, we are here at the Nürburgring. Welcome to the BMW M2 Cup.
We are about to go racing with the BMW M2 Cup, and away we go. Maxime Oosten has got by the number 22 car now, but Tom Littell, who is blisteringly quick at the moment, is in the pit lane now. So here comes Maxime Oosten then to take the checkered flag. P2, it's going to be Fabian Kreim, and then Horston virtually welded to the back of the car as they cross the line.
So we're going to find out how exciting the race will be today. We're all looking forward to it. And two guys who were driving in the BMW M2 Cup last year, Lewis Henkevent and also Colin Carzani. And Lewis, you won last year, which automatically means that you'll be driving you are driving in the DTM Trophy this year. So I guess looking at your career, that's a huge boost and that's a huge step forward, obviously, right?
Yeah, 100%. For me, it was like the biggest step so far, because I secured myself like the seat in the GT4.
We need to move over here because we're opening the door, so in just a bit we can step outside there. So obviously that's fantastic. And Colin, for you also, you're also in the DTM Trophy this year. You were in BMW M2 Cup last year, now DTM Trophy. You guys are colleagues. So what's that like for you?
Yeah, it's great to have Lewis also as my colleague. We're both very experienced in the M2 Cup. We both won a championship in different M2 Cups. And we know each other from karting as well. It's not the first time we are teammates. Of course, DTM Trophy is quite challenging this year, but I think we're doing a great job as a team and we can really help each other out. Even in hard times, in good times, we're always on top of it. So it's always good. And
Lewis, I mean, being here in Spa and looking at the BMW M2 Cup, I mean, it's obviously it's the young drivers who are being pushed forward, who are being helped out in every way. And how challenging would you say is Spa-Francorchamps?
Spa is definitely one of the most challenging tracks on the calendar, I would say. It's really fast corners where you need to push a lot. But now with the weather conditions as well, it's typical Spa weather here, so it's a lot of gambling.
Exactly. What exactly does that mean in regards to the typical Spa weather? What do you think? What can we expect today?
So the problem is, like, you never know what to expect. The weather can change like in 5 minutes. You expect dry, you have wet. You expect wet, you have dry. So it's really hard.
And what is that like? I mean, you were in the BMW M2 Cup last year as well, so you know what it's like. I mean, they're all very motivated, you know, young people, young drivers, eager to succeed. So with these tricky conditions, does that play with your mind a little bit, or what's that like?
I mean, it depends on the driver. Even in higher steps in the DTM platform, I think there are still some drivers in DTM Trophy and DTM that can be a lot influenced by this. But I think it's hard to say. At the end, you can feel whatever you want before you're driving in the grid or in the pit lane or in the paddock, doesn't matter. But once you're in the car, once that visor closes, your mindset is different. So you just feel, and you feel in the first lap if you're fast or not. And I think that plays the biggest role in your confidence. But it is hard, especially with this typical Spa weather.
Absolutely. So we'll see what today brings. But Lewis, one more question in regards to the BMW M2 Cup. I mean, surely you guys are also watching it, talking about it. So what are you expecting? I mean, we've still got 6 races to go. That means 3 more race weekends altogether. What are you expecting?
I mean, it's quite close at the front now with Kreim and Maxime. It's really hard. I'm not really sure who's going to end up on top. But I'm expecting now to be Maxime quite strong here. He knows the track very well. He was really fast in the qualifying. So I think Maxime is a good chance of winning here, I think now.
All right, well, we'll see. It's definitely going to be exciting. And while we still wait, and we'll see if we still get some chances to interview the drivers. For now, here's your commentator.
Thank you, Verena. Sterling work with Colin Carasani and Lewis Enkefend as well. You may have just seen in those cutaway pictures that we were looking at that a driver clattering into the barriers on the formation lap. Now, my best guess is that was either Jarno Douw or Sean Fuster. I could be wrong. I just happened to glance it whilst listening to Verena, so we will see. But it looked like there was some damage to maybe the back-end suspension of that particular BMW M2 Cup, and we will see if one car makes its way into the pit lane. As you can see, the cars are on their formation lap, and as Verena and also Lewis and Colin have said, you know, the championship is getting very, very exciting with a real battle between Maxime Oosten and also Fabian Krym. Now, when it comes to qualifying, Maxime Oosten is going from pole position, and Fabian Krym is starting much further back than he would anticipate. P7 for Fabian Krym, so it's a fourth row start for Fabian. He's got some overtaking to do, and there you can see the cars all lining up now into their grid boxes, ready for the start of this race. And as Verena was saying, whilst talking to both Lewis and to Colin, they have both made the step up from the BMW M2 Cup into DTM Trophy. And that's exactly what these young talents on the grid are hoping and aspiring to see them moving up the pyramid, if you will, of motorsport success in their career. Now, as I was watching the cars make their way on their formation lap, there is very much a dry line. Be very interested to see if we can get one of our camera guys really in close to one of the BMW M2 Cup cars, because from my vantage point here, it's a job to tell if they are on slick tyres or if they are on wet tyres. The track is looking dry, and certainly a dry line is there. So we'll try and ascertain that. In the meantime, let's go back down to the grid where Verena awaits us.
I'm here with the pole setter, Maxime Oosten. Maxime, it looks like it's drying up a little bit. You're starting a pole position, so how about a victory?
I hope so. I really hope so. It's they're tricky conditions, but these are the conditions I really like. So yeah, we will see.
And also Spa. Is Spa one of your favorite racetracks?
It has to be. It's so famous, and I drove here a couple times, and still is one of the best tracks ever.
And also you're only 4 points behind the championship leader. So I mean, now it's all about...
Only one.
Only 1 point. So exactly, after qualifying. So in other words, I mean, it's really time to pick up the points and hopefully extend your, or get the lead today.
I really hope so. My competitor, or my main competitor, is in P7, so I hope I can do something good.
All right, so you go for it, Maxime. Thank you so much. And in P2, we've got Lorenz Stegmann. So let's see how he's feeling. Surely he's feeling confident. They're just closing the door. But you know what? I'm just going to open the door again and just quickly interrupt there. I know he needs to focus on the race, but just quickly, Lorenz, starting from P2, obviously your goal is what? To overtake Maxime and hopefully go for a victory? How are you going to do that?
Yeah, I hope so. I can I try to do the best, and yes, hope we can do the best and come on the first place here.
All right, well, best of luck, Lorenz. Thank you so much, and time for us to clear the track here. And now, yeah, here's your commentator, so do enjoy the race. See you later. Bye.
Verena, that was lovely to see a little dance pirouette there. So, talking to Lorenz Stegmann, who goes from P2, Maxime Oosten then from P1. They are the front row of this grid here at Spa-Francorchamps. Welcome to Spa. This really rather unforgiving 7-kilometre circuit, which features some 19 turns. 10 of them are left-handers, 9 of them are right-handers. We're looking at the number 53 car there of Robert Heffler. And there you can see the grid is being cleared now. It really is a tight timetable here at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit this weekend. And we are just about ready to go racing. So all the cars lined up on the grid, I think. As I said, it looked like one car was perhaps in strife on the formation lap, but insofar as I can tell, everyone is on the grid and everyone is okay. Big welcome to a couple of our guest drivers. Mikael Bratigam goes from P4 on the grid, and also Tikens is going from P8 on the grid. So a big welcome to those two guest drivers who join us here, me and Tikens. One of the 2 guest drivers that are in the BMW M2 Cup this weekend. 2 races to come, of course, unlike Nürburgring, where, of course, we only got 1 away, but hopefully 2 this weekend. And the drivers are champing at the bit. And, of course, Maxime Oosten making the point, just 1 point between himself and Fabian Krym now after Maxime's awesome delivery in qualifying. It's interesting. I was at dinner with him last night. Well, not with him, but in the same restaurant. And Maxime, full of confidence, of course, going from pole position as the cars are released then on this long formation lap, the last lap that I was talking about, installation lap, of course, as the drivers are all heading towards the grid. And you can see that the conditions are still pretty tricky out there. The moment you go off the dry line, actually that camera angle gives us a nice example where, as you can see on the racing line, it is absolutely bone dry. But the moment you go off that line, all of a sudden it becomes very different. Now, these are the championship standings, but this is prior to the points having been awarded for qualifying. So Fabian Krime was on 99 points and Maxime Osten on 95, which of course means there's a 4-point deficit between the two of them. However, that has changed since qualifying, and now Fabian Krime Maxime Osten is within 1 point of Fabian Krime. So, and of course, Maxime Osten going from P1 on the grid. Every driver, of course, gets a different car. Each weekend, the cars are rotated through the entire driver base to make sure that no one driver can feel that he has any advantage of a slightly better performing BMW M2 Cup car, because they draw lots every single weekend as to which particular car of the BMW M2 Cup fleet that they will be driving over the course of the weekend. So all the cars, as we look there at Milan Tikens then, as I say, one of our guest drivers this weekend. Good to see Milan on the grid, and also his Mikhail Bratigam, the other guest starter in the BMW M2 Cup. Neither of those two drivers will be scoring points, but of course will be having a phenomenal experience in this young talent-driven cup that is the BMW M2 Cup. So it's a long formation lap because it's a long lap here at Spa-Francorchamps, 7.004 kilometers to be absolutely pinpoint accurate with you. And as both Lewis and Colin Carasani were saying, it is such a difficult track to nail, and the weather conditions, I think it was Colin that said they can change, or was it Lewis? They were saying that the weather conditions can change in literally minutes, well, in seconds, to be honest with you. And at the moment, the track conditions are pretty dry, and one assumes, and it is only an assumption from my point of view, that the drivers are all on slick tyres. Because there is definitely a dry line, and if there is no further showers, then that would be the optimum to be on. So getting close to completing the formation lap now, as they are running now down through towards the bus stop turn. So heading through turn 17, heading up towards the bus stop, which contains two turns. The right-hander is turn 18, the left-hander is turn 19. The bus stop chicane, which leads us back onto the start-finish straight. So, and now you can see the cars are approaching that chicane, trying to warm the tyres wherever possible. And again, you can see offline there is still some dampness around. And of course, the minute you make a mistake, and if, heaven forbid, you should be onto the curbs or the painted Astro, or indeed the grass, you're going to be in all sorts of trouble. So one would suggest caution at the beginning of the race would be wise, but of course all the drivers are anxious and champing at the bit to get going. And from my commentary studio, I can see that already Maxime Osten and Lawrence Stegman have lined up on the front row of the grid, and from that wonderful shot we can see the remaining cars then taking their places in their grid boxes. Pinpoint accurate inside the grid boxes. There are sensors there to make sure that they're lined up absolutely perfectly. Then it is to the driver's responsibility, the driver's ability, if you will, to ride the brake pedal and also the accelerator and balance the two, ready to get a good start away. We get the green flag from the marshal at the rear of the grid. That means the start sequence is on. We have red lights, the lights go out, and it is a very good start from Maxime Osten, also Lawrence Stegman. Also a very good start from Bart Horston in the number 50 car. He got away really, really well. So into La Source for the first time of asking then. It's something of a funnel here at Spa-Francorchamps, and every driver being really, really sensible here and just thinking about where they're placing the car to get through La Source. And absolutely, to the best of my knowledge, no contact at all from any of the cars going through the first turn. What a brilliant camera angle that is. And you can see the spray being kicked up by some of the drivers who are running offline. The minute you go offline, and you can see with such a long track that track conditions in one part of the circuit could be altogether different to another part. Now, confirmation I'm receiving that Sean Fuster, it was Sean Fuster that made contact with the barriers on the installation lap, and he regrettably not starting the race. So that's a great shame for Sean Fuster, another one of those huge talents. And you can see Fabian Crime is already champing at the bit to try and move up the order, and he's in a real battle here with Michael Marques, and it's a long way around the outside here for Fabian Crime. A little love tap from Michael Marques, not intentional, but Fabian Crime, what a brilliant overtake, and he goes through to pick up that P4 place. So great driving from Fabian Crime. Maxime Oosten is trying to stretch his legs a little bit. Lawrence Stegman P2, and Bart Horsten is in P3. So there's a train of cars, it has to be said, behind Michael Marques at the moment, including Heffler and Marc-David Müller as well, as they're all trying very, very hard to make their way past here. And there you can see the number 22 car of Marc-David Müller. So it's Oosten from Stegman, Horsten, and then Marques. And this battle that is going on, Robert Heffler is in that mix, and Takens as well, our guest driver, wipers on full. Now, I don't think that's indicative of the rain coming down, but I could be wrong, because at any one part of this track, it could be completely different to the weather conditions that I can see from our studio window at the moment. So 30 minutes plus 1 lap is the race order, the race distance, I should say, or race duration, as trying to go around the outside there is Marc-David Müller. And Marc-David Müller then is the next to line up Michael Marques and try and find a way by in the all-yellow number 47 car as they head up towards the bus stop chicane. And this is something of an overtaking opportunity potentially. And you can see here through bus stop, it looks altogether more damp than it does on other parts of the circuit. So first lap in the book. And the order is Maxime Oosten from Lawrence Stegman. Now, Maxime has built about 5/10 of margin, but fastest lap coming from Lawrence Stegman, so Stegman means business here. Diving to the inside, there's Diego Stifter. So there you can see the number 53 car of Robert Heffler. And this battle continuing then as Marc-David Müller trying to get the better of Michael Marques. You can almost feel the cars running over the rumble strips through Eau Rouge, and you can see very wide lines being taken there, which will attract the attention of race control, I would suggest. And here now is an opportunity potentially for Marc-David Müller to make good on that overtake, and he does so. So Marc-David Müller moves up a place in the all-green BMW M2 Cup car. And there, from that very high angle, you can see just how dry the track is on the racing line. But the minute you go off the racing line, it is all very, very damp. Diego Stifter then defending from Tom Nittel at the moment, and Tom Nittel himself is under real pressure here from Jarno Dow. Jarno Dow in the all-black number 14 car, and here comes Diego Stifter, Tom Nittel rather, through on the inside. So it was a bold effort from Jarno Dow, but it didn't work, and Tom Nittel stays ahead, and at the moment they're fighting over the P10 and 11 places. So the 47 car of Michael Marques is under real pressure now from Robert Heffler. So Heffler trying to find a way by. Meantime, Maxime Oosten continuing to lead from Lawrence Stegman, and then Bart Horsten, and of course Fabian Crime is up to P4. Side by side they go. And a great move there from Robert Heffler, who does get by the all-yellow number 47 car. So Robert Heffler moves up to P6 now. You can see Marc-David Müller has already broken away. So Michael Marques then regrettably going the wrong direction in terms of this race. Now, Maxime Oosten has certainly not been able to break away from Lawrence Stegman. So Lawrence Stegman, and here we can see the P3 driver, Bart Horsten, and there is the P4 driver, Fabian Crime. So Fabian is the one that really needs to maximize his point score this weekend. Otherwise, if everything stayed the way it is at the moment, my calculations would see Maxime Oosten leading the Drivers' Championship. Going into the next round in Austria at the Red Bull Ring. So all cars through the bus stop chicane then. Maxime Oosten has on this occasion, because he was posted a slightly faster lap than Lawrence Stegman, and he has increased his margin therefore just a little bit to some 6.5 tenths. Diego Stifter then, trying to get to the inside, and in so doing, clatters into the side of the number 18 car of Milan Tekens, and that causes Milan to be out, making contact with the barriers. So that was a really unfortunate set of circumstances. Absolutely nothing malicious in that at all. Just the really challenging track conditions. Let's see it in replay, or see the start of that in replay. Diving to the inside then was Diego Stifter, and then Diego, well, it looked from that angle like it was a really proper stock car move, but it really wasn't. He was just fighting for grip. He'd been chucked sideways at Diego. That in turn caused the front end to make contact with the number 18 car of Milan Tekens, and Milan regrettably is out of the race. There could be an argument there that Diego went into the turn too deep, but it was always inevitable that there was going to be contact. Here's a replay of the start then. Really good start from Bart Horsten. Here you can see him dive to the outside of the yellow car. And Bart with a very, very impressive start. Let's see it all over again. The incident involving cars 18, 17 and 25 that we've just seen is under investigation with race control. No surprise there. I was really, really impressed with all our young talents in the BMW M2 Cup to be able to get through that first sequence of La Source with no problems whatsoever. Brilliant driving, and credit to David Kolkman, who of course coaches all our drivers in the BMW M2 Cup. There were one or two little bits of contact, as you can see, and it was Fabian Crime on the receiving end of that, but Fabian Crime was undaunted and of course has moved up to P4. So Oosten from Stegman, then it's Bart Horsten, then it is Fabian Crime and Mark David Muller and Robert Heffler. Mikhail Makesh is P7, Tom Nittel is P8, Jarno Dow is P9, and Diego Stifter is running in P10 at the moment, as we look at the number 12 car of Aaron Venish then, who is running in P14 with Alessia Kreutzpointner, the car ahead. So across the timing line, where are we at? The first 9 minutes of the race are completed. And this is Mark David Muller going very, very wide there, opening up the door potentially to Robert Heffler here in the long drag race down towards Eau Rouge. Now, it's going to be King of the Brave Ones here, I would suggest. But as the cars make their way through, then enough has been done by Mark David Muller, who had the momentum and is able for the moment to keep Robert Heffler at bay. But now, on this Radeon, is Mark David Muller going to get just a little bit of a draft off the back? I don't think he's close enough to be able to make a move. Going into the chicane. No, able to hold on to that place. However, there is plenty of action going on behind, and Jarno Dow in the number 14 car losing out there to Mikhail Makesh, who has gone through, and Diego Stifter is just waiting to pick up the pieces between the battle between those two at the same time. So Bart Horsten is under real pressure now. This is for P3, and Fabian Crime, who needs to maximize his points haul, has got Bart Horsten right in front of him. Fabian Crime has really, really brought this gap down. He's been driving really consistently and really well. And with the 20 minutes remaining in this race, he wants to try and get on terms with Lawrence Stegman and Maxime Oosten. However, he has got to get by the number 50 car of Bart Horsten, who's driving really well at the moment. And Bart, of course, was on the podium for the first time of asking in the one race that we had at the Nürburgring, taking P3 in what was race 2, even though there weren't 2 races that weekend. So taking his first podium of the season, and he would like to bank yet another one, but I have to say Fabian Crime is looking very, very lively here. So I remind you, this is a battle for the podium, and a big battle in terms of Drivers' Championship points as well. And there you can see Fabian Crime is in the dark blue car, and the white car ahead is Bart Horston. And they're heading towards the chicane now. Fabian taking a look at the inside. That inside line was very much, the door was closed by Bart Horston. But now Fabian Crime, his exit of the bus stop is good. He's got good momentum. He's got good traction here. Where will he position the car going through La Source to try and make a move going through Eau Rouge? There we can see Mark David Muller and Robert Heffler. So here we go. This is the P1 and P2. Maxime Oosten and Lawrence Stegman, who are but 3/10. Maxime Oosten has not been able to stretch his sizable legs. I say that because Maxime's about 7 foot tall. And Fabian Crime now right on the back of Bart Horston. Bart's really going to have to defend here and metaphorically stick his elbows out, because there is a real opportunity now potentially for Fabian Crime. You can see that Bart is putting the car into the middle of the track. Fabian Crime taking a look at the inside. He's not close enough. Has Bart's entry into that chicane been compromised a little bit? Fabian now to the inside. But again, Horston with good momentum. And Horston for the moment holding on to this P3, but he is under real pressure from Fabian Crime. And of course, Fabian desperately needs to get this overtake done if he stands any chance whatsoever of getting on terms with Lawrence Stegman and Maxime Oosten. Now, if the cars were welded together, they could not be closer. Absolutely compelling race going on for P3. And it's a pretty darn exciting race for P1 as well, with just 5/10 between P1 and P2. And there are those cars. This is the battle for P3 and P4. We've lost 2 cars from the race, Tikans and Fuster. But the rest of the cars racing really, really well. And I should say not only the cars racing well, of course, but the young, talented drivers also. And none more talented than this Fabian Crime, who has led the Drivers' Championship into this race. However, the championship lead could go away at the end, because Maxime Oosten, by winning the race, will have done enough to put himself in that P1 position in the Drivers' Championship. But here comes Fabian Crime now to the outside of Bart Horston. A brilliant move by Fabian Crime, a great overtake. Racing room was left for him by Bart, and brilliant racing between the two of them. So now Fabian Crime will throw everything at trying to get on terms with Lawrence Stegman and Maxime Oosten, who are just a little bit where you can see how far up the road they are. Maxime Oosten still managing to hold off Lawrence Stegman. And the fastest laps between these two drivers keep seesawing, and the fastest sectors keep seesawing between these drivers. And now we'll see, in my opinion, a few quali laps to come from Fabian Crime, who'll try and narrow that 5-second gap he has between himself and Lawrence Stegman. Here it is again, set up absolutely perfectly. And as I say, respect to Bart Horston, who didn't close the door. And sure enough, Fabian does go through. Whoa, a big, big wobble there. Good control from Diego Stifter, but he lost some momentum. And that played into the hands of Jarno Dow. It's Jarno Dow to the left-hand side of your picture. To the right-hand side of your picture, it is Diego Stifter. And they are fighting over P9 and P10. And at the moment, it is Jarno Dow that's P9, and Diego Stifter is P10. So they carry so much speed here. Now you can see Diego just, whoa, onto the painted lines where the grip is non-existent. It was a big, big save. And big congratulations. Here you can see, oh, the back end of the car just lets go. He manages to control it perfectly. He loses some speed, but that plays into the hands of Jarno Dow, who was ready there to take advantage, and sure enough, he did. This is Mark David Muller and Robert Heffler then, and this is the argument that is going on for P5. That P5 place at the moment held by Mark David Muller in the green car, and it's Robert Heffler in the blue number 53 car. So P5 and P6 for these two drivers, with Tom Nittel not so far behind in P7 as well. So Mark David Muller then sticking his elbows out and denying Robert Heffler. And there you could just see a glimpse of the white car of Tom Nittel coming through. Tom Nittel, who needs to get points on the board, to be honest, and finishes as well, because these last two races have been DNFs for Tom Nittel, which is a great shame. He really is a very talented young driver who shows blistering speed at times. So into the bus stop chicane here. Now you can see how Mark David Muller really thought about where he was placing the car to deny Robert Heffler any advantage whatsoever. Worked absolutely perfectly, but now Heffler getting a little bit of a benefit of the draft off the back of the number 22 car. Will he take a look at the inside and try and unsettle Mark David Muller? Well, he didn't, and now it's a long run down. And again, good speed from Mark David Muller, good speed from Robert Heffler as well. Eau Rouge then, what a phenomenal place over the rumble strips. And there you can see using those rumble strips as much as one dares in these challenging track conditions. Now you can see there that Mark David Muller also using his wipers, and I'm just seeing if we are getting any new drops of rain. Right, to the outside now comes Robert Heffler, but Mark David Muller has got the perfect line, and he's able to carry more speed into that chicane, so no problems there. Holds on to it nicely. Ooston from Stegman now. All of a sudden, Lawrence Stegman's pace has dropped away because Maxime Ooston has managed to build a 2.3 second gap now. Now, this was the moment that Heffler tried hard, but having to apply so much steering angle meant that the trajectory Mark David Muller was on was an altogether quicker way through. And so just for the moment, Mark David Muller can breathe a sigh of relief because Robert Heffler is not breathing down his back end. So as I was saying, Maxime Ooston then has built 2 seconds over Lawrence Stegman. They've been absolutely nailed together, but that is not the case now. Jan O'Dowd, who is currently running in P10, chasing down Diego Stifter, who is P9. Was that a little lock-up from Diego Stifter? I think it might have been. And of course, behind them is the car of Mikael Brattigam, doing a very good job as one of our guest drivers. So diving to the inside of the number 25 car was Jan O'Dowd. That door was really rather left glaringly open. Oh, and that, it wasn't a lock-up we saw. I would think that that is a puncture. Indeed so, you can see. Well, I thought the door was left open really rather more gapingly than I imagined, and the reason for that is Diego Stifter, unfortunately, has picked up a puncture. Therefore, he will try and nurse the car back to the pits. What a great shame that is, because Diego had been doing really, really well. We've got just under 11 minutes plus a lap of the race to go, and still this fight continues to go on here between Mark David Muller and Robert Heffler. You could see Robert Heffler using a completely different line through La Source to try and unsettle Mark David Muller, but it hasn't worked. Mark David looks absolutely steadfast in that P5 position. So as the cars run up again, can Robert Heffler get close enough to be able to have a go going into Les Combes? We will see. Not sure. You can see again different lines being used and being considered and potentially being explored, but and the very sad sight there of Diego Stifter having to nurse this car back. And here is where I think the tyre let go. The door was left open. Jan O'Dowd was able to go through, and I thought just a couple of turns earlier I saw just a puff of smoke, and I thought it maybe locked up, but quite clearly it was the tyre letting go. And that playing into the hands of all the cars, of course, that were following. So thanks to our team for giving us all those replays so that we can see exactly what happened to Diego Stifter as he tries to nurse the car back and to get that wheel and tyre replaced. Of course, that will have fair ruined his opportunity of a good points haul from this race. Just wonder whether that was brought about by a little bit of contact. You can see a little bit of damage there in that super slow-mo. Right in the center of your picture now, you can see the paint having been scrubbed off there. I wonder if that was brought about by some contact earlier on. Alessia Kreutzpointner we're looking at now, running in the number 15 car. And running just behind Jacqueline Kreutzpointner. They are P11 and P12. So the young talented Jacqueline and Alessia Kreutzpointner, very, very good drivers indeed. And they are running P11 and P12 at the moment. Maxime Oosten is on a mission now. I can see, and you can see from the left-hand side as Diego Stifter does bring that car back into the pit lane. What a great shame. Mark David Muller, who has been steadfast in this P5 position and has defended from every form of attack that Robert Heffler has thrown at him and has done a really, really good job. I was saying that Maxime Oosten all of a sudden has put some 4 seconds on Lawrence Stegman. So Maxime Oosten has really found his rhythm around this Spa-Francorchamps circuit, which means that Fabian Krime is within 4 seconds now of Lawrence Stegman. So what have we got? 7 3/4 minutes plus a lap to come. Fabian Krime, well, he'll be targeting P2, I would suggest. Which that won't, I don't think, if my calculations are correct. I don't think that will be enough for Maxime Oosten not to lead the Drivers' Championship, but it will certainly narrow the margin. Mark David Muller then running in P5, and then it is Robert Heffler. And a P5 for Mark David Muller would equal his best race result in the season so far, which came in the second race at the street circuit of Norrisring, and it was another P5. There's Fabian Krime, and Bart Horston has really kept with him, you know. So Bart is about 3 seconds behind Fabian Krime. The gap between P1 and P2, though, continues to increase. And it's up to some 4.6 seconds now as we look at Robert Heffler here doing everything he can to get back with Mark David Muller, and he was advantaged a little bit there by Mark running really rather wide and through the chicane. You could see the back end of Mark David Muller's car just letting go a little bit. He controlled it perfectly. But every time the car is sideways, that means that it's not as quick. And all of a sudden you can see the window of opportunity has once again opened up, potentially for Robert Heffler here, to try and get by the number 22 car of Muller. So this fight continues to be on then, and it is for P5 in the race. Bear in mind, points scored all the way down to P15 in the BMW M2 Cup. But of course, it's the number of points that you can bank that's critical, and well, P5 would be better than P6, and that's exactly what's on Robert Heffler's mind. So through the bus stop chicane, he gets as close as he can to Mark David Muller. Robert Heffler, who has been on the podium this season, he took a very, very creditable P2 in the second race at the Lausitz Ring. Now, podium might be a tall order for either of those two drivers in this race, with just over 5 minutes plus a lap remaining, but certainly as far as he's concerned, P5 is definitely on the table. However, Mark David Muller has got different ideas about that, and that's why they're running P5 and P6 currently. And for lap after lap after lap, Mark David has done a great job in defending from various attacks from Robert Heffler. Some have been more progressive than others, and Tom Nittell still, you can just see in the background of those two cars. So here is Mark David Muller. What he needs not to do now with tyre degradation is to make an error of judgment. because you can't help but feel that Robert Heffler will be ready to take advantage. Both the number 22 and 53 cars are sliding about a little bit, which is allowing Tom Nittel, who is running P7 at the moment in the number 7 car, incidentally. Tom Nittel is closing the gap a little bit to these two. So you can see as those cars run a bit wider, and then in fairness, Tom Nittel runs wide as well, as the grip becomes at a premium. And that was a big slide from Mark-David Müller, and that you can see him really struggling to control the car now. I wonder if at that part of the circuit with the wipers on now, whether it has started, whether a shower has started. So you can see both Mark-David Müller and Robert Heffler have got the wipers on. We can see some raindrops on our lens of that particular camera. And I just wonder whether the track conditions are changing. It was a big save from Mark-David Müller. He held on to that nicely. And if Robert Heffler had been a little bit closer, you can see he's still sliding now. It gets off the runoff area where, of course, it will always be much damper on the runoff area. So, I have to say, a real heart-in-the-mouth moment for Mark-David Müller, but he held on to that car, and really impressive driving from that young star. And we are running out of time now, 3 minutes remaining. Plus a lap, as always, in the BMW M2 Cup, as we see Michael Marquez. And then we should see Jarno Dow if we hold on to this camera shot for a moment. And sure enough, there was Jarno Dow coming through. Top 5 or 6 drivers then crossing the timing line. Maxime Oosten then. We've not seen much of him in the program. The reason for that is Maxime out in front. And still attacking the curbs plenty is Maxime. 4.6 seconds to the good over Lawrence Stegman, who's running in P2. And of course, Fabian Crime, having got by Bart Horsten, is P3. So here is Maxime then. And you can see the gap between he and Lawrence Stegman. Well, for a long while, Lawrence Stegman stayed with them, or stayed with him, the race leader. But over the last few laps, Maxime Oosten has really been able to put some laps in that have seen him increase that margin to just under 5 seconds between P1 and P2. Mikel then running in P8. And here comes Jarno Dow running in P10. And Jarno Dow under a bit of pressure there from Michael Bradegum, one of our guest drivers, the renowned journalist, who I have to say is showing really well in the BMW M2 Cup. And were the opportunity ever afforded to my German television colleague and myself to get into these cars in a race situation, I think either one of us would be very pleased to be able to run in that P10 position. Lukas Gajewski is the German talent that I'm talking about. Myself and Lukas then have dropped big hints about how we'd love to commentate the race. All we need is a little monitor in the car and a microphone, and you know what, we could go out and race as well as talking about it. Not likely. Maxime Oosten, 4.6 seconds to the good of Lawrence Stegman, but we are watching the fight that is going on now. A little bit further down the order, it is for P9 and P10. Now, Michael Bradegum in the number 86 car, as I mentioned, is a journalist and therefore a guest driver and isn't scoring points, but of course, you want to finish as far up the order as you possibly can. Here is Maxime now then, and I think he's going to cross the timing line with enough time on the clock for us to potentially get another couple of laps in. Yes, because he crosses the timing line now with 7 seconds remaining now. Unless race control decide to make this the last lap, I would suggest that we will be doing the remainder of this lap plus one more. But as has so often been the case in the past, I could be wrong. Maxime Oosten from Lawrence Stegman. Fabian Crime trying to chase down Lawrence Stegman. There's Bart Horsten. He's running in P4. But before we see Mark-David Müller and Robert Heffler, they are running P5 and P6. Then it's Tom Nittel and Michael Marquez, Jarno Dow and Michael Bradegum then. They are the top 10. Then it's Jacqueline and Alexia Kreutzpointner, line astern, P11 and P12. Aaron Venish is running in P13. So there you can see the number 14 car of Jarno Dahl, who for the moment has seen off the rather robust challenge that came from Michael Brautigam. We've lost the likes of Diego Stifter and Mario Takens and also Sean Fuster. So you can see on the left-hand side of your screen on the graphics, those three drivers, the only drivers that are out, which means huge credit to all the drivers that have been racing in the BMW M2 Cup in very challenging weather conditions. They've done really, really well. Here is Lawrence Stegman. There is Fabian Krime. Surely Lawrence has done enough to secure this P2 position. He's got the remainder of this lap plus one more to hold on to that P2. And all of a sudden, Michael then gets an awful lot closer to Jarno Dahl. So this is the fight that's going on for P9. It's Jarno Dahl that is currently running in P9. And Michael Brautigam then is right behind him once again. So this isn't all over yet. It's a very, very good showing from Michael. I will offer my congratulations to him when I see him in the media centre shortly. So Maxime Osten with 5.5 seconds to the good. And Fabian Krime is getting closer to Lawrence Stegman, but not close enough, I would suggest. I'm just keeping an eye on the sector times on the timing screen. And here is Maxime Osten then. BMW M2 Cup superstar, I'm tempted to say. So he heads into the bus stop chicane. He's been pretty aggressive in terms of his driving. He certainly hasn't used the fact that he's in the lead to relax at all. And he does start the last lap now. So Maxime Osten, as he crosses the timing line, let's get a live gap between P1 and P2. It was 5.566 seconds between the two of them. And it remains 5.566 seconds. So both drivers putting in very, very good times in the penultimate lap. So Maxime Osten then climbs up towards Radion. And for Maxime Osten, and I don't want to put the commentator's curse on this, if everything stays this way, it will be Maxime's fourth win in a row in the BMW M2 Cup. He took both the wins at Norrisring. And, of course, he took the win in the sole race that we had in the weather-affected Nürburgring, which was just a couple of weeks ago. So Osten then, masterclass of BMW M2 Cup driving. A very, very likable young man who has got, quite clearly, a huge, huge motorsport career in front of him. He is a young talent, and that talent is being shown to us in full effect in this and the previous three BMW M2 Cup races. There's Tom Nittel, who is running P7. Tom, who's been a podium placer this season. Now, Fabian Krime, despite all his best efforts, has not been able to get closer to Lawrence Stegman. So it's Osten from Stegman, from Krime, from Bart Horsten, then it's Mark David Muller, Robert Heffler, and then the car you see center screen right now, Tom Nittel. But we hold on to the final images of Maxime Osten then, I would suggest, as he power slides the back end of the car, heading towards, as I say, what will be, by my calculations, his fourth win in a row in the BMW M2 Cup, really reinforcing his dominance and his presence now in the middle part of this BMW M2 Cup. I mean, there's only one race where he's not been on the podium. If he's not won, it's been a P2, and as I say, there was one race in the opening round at Lausitzring. I think it was the second race where he took P8, but he has not looked back from that little P8 place and has not finished anywhere other than P1 since. Through the bus stop chicane for the final time of asking then for Maxime Osten, the young Netherlands-based racer who heads towards the checkered flag and sure enough takes the win. His fourth win in a row, and he finishes some 5.7 seconds ahead of Lawrence Stegman, who banks P2. Fabian Krime then secures very valuable points in P3, but he will see the points lead go away from him. Then it's Bart Horsten, Mark-David Muller, and Robert Heffler. They have all crossed the timing line, and there you can see Maxime Oosten then taking the shortcut into the Parc Ferme area, and Tom Nittel very nearly getting past Mikhail Makesh right at the end. So the order: Maxime Oosten, Lawrence Stegman, Fabian Krime, Bart Horsten. Then it's Mark-David Muller, Robert Heffler, Mikhail Makesh, Tom Nittel, Jarno Dow, Mikhail Braudegem. A very, very impressive P10. And then it will be Jacqueline Kreutzpointner that will head Alessia Kreutzpointner across the line, and it will be Aaron Venish that finishes in the all-yellow car in P13. So that is your race done and dusted, and a huge well done to all the drivers in, as I say, really, really difficult conditions. They held on to everything beautifully, and should take great pride in what they have been able to achieve. A very good race indeed. So Maxime Oosten, apart from the first third of the race, I'm tempted to say, didn't look really troubled by Lawrence Stegman, held onto it really, really nicely. And in replay there, who was that went round right at the back? Is that Tom Nittel? Yes, it is. Tom Nittel then. But thankfully, he'd got so much. And Tom Nittel just losing out to Mikhail Makesh as a consequence. So there we have it. Confirmation of the result then: Maxime Oosten from Lawrence Stegman, from Fabian Krime, Bart Horsten, Mark-David Muller, Robert Heffler, then Mikhail Makesh then right at the end of the race, being able to take P7 away from Tom Nittel, who finishes P8. Then it was Jarno Dow ahead of Mikhail Braudegem, who won't feature in the points, but nonetheless features in the race result, ahead of Jacqueline Kreutzpointner, Alessia Kreutzpointner, and Aaron Venish. That is the way they finished then. So well done to all our drivers. Let's get super slow-mos to the top three. Fabian Krime then banks P3. P2, and a good drive from Lawrence Stegman. His best finish of the season so far. However, no disputing the dominance of Maxime Oosten as he wins at Spa-Francorchamps. There is Spa-Francorchamps then. And as I suggested, Maxime Oosten now heads the Drivers' Championship by 3 points over Fabian Krime, and then it's Bart Horsten P3. So 3 points to the good for Maxime Oosten. Fabian Krime, for the first time this season, finds himself P2 in the Drivers' Championship. Going to be very, very interesting in race 2 tomorrow. Then, of course, we've still got 2 more race events to come at the Red Bull Ring and also Hockenheim. So, yeah, very, very interesting that is going to be. That's a great shot, isn't it? Looking down towards the start-finish line here at Spa-Francorchamps. Sorry, we're not looking down at the start-finish line. We're looking down from Eau Rouge. Forgive me. And that is, of course, one of the track service vehicles. And again, you can see, you know, the dry line there. But it's the moment you go off that dry line and find the damp stuff, that's when you could be in trouble. But at the moment, the weather is being kind to us here at Spa-Francorchamps. And let's hope it remains that way. See some deft movement. Now that's a blower on the front of that tractor. Just wherever there are damp patches, what they're trying to do is blow it all away. Fair play. Great work by the team here at Spa-Francorchamps then to give us the best possible track conditions they can for racing. And we've seen that in the BMW M2 Cup, haven't we? All those young talents competing in this championship, specifically designed to drive the next set of talents into the next level up in their ladder of their motorsport career. And right at the beginning of the program, you will recall we were talking to Colin Carasani and Lewis Henkerfand, who are both in the DTM Trophy, having moved up from the BMW M2 Cup. So that potentially is what awaits our drivers. So there we have it then. It's a very, very tight schedule here at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit with so much going on, and subsequently, regrettably, we are going to be out of time with regards to bringing the podium to you. But just to confirm once again, the race winner, Maxime Oosten, taking P2, a very good drive from Lawrence Stegman, and then banking P3, Fabian Crime, which means now, as we go into race 2 tomorrow, Maxime Oosten leading the Drivers' Championship points. From all of us here, thank you so much for watching us here at Spa-Francorchamps. We'll see you for race 2 tomorrow.